Oh yeah, Although Anu has a lecture, we watch TV until Karthik come, okay? Okay. Eat, hurry up,
අනේ පුතේ නැති දෙන්න දෝ බින්නේ මගේ අත්තරන අම්මෝ කොසාරගෙන යනවා ඉතින් ඔයා ඉතින් සෙලෙක්ට් කරලා කියලා ඉස්සුනෝනා ඔය කොසාරගෙන
Good morning to you all.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, madam.
Good morning.
Usually we have nearly 100 students for one session, but today still right. Until the others join, shall we discuss or recall what we have done so far? The past 2 days?
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. Any volunteer can start. We can go like a chain. What topics can you remember?
We learned about introduction to language teaching methodology, and also we learned about why do we learn history of language.
Mhm.
and theory of language, chronological order, structural view, the functional view, interactional view.
Mhm. Okay. If somebody wants to study about history of language teaching, what are the ways that a person can follow? One is chronological order.
Different schools of thoughts.
Okay.
Focus center of language teaching.
Right. Good. And then what do you know about learning a second language? Didn't we discuss that topic? The difference between language learning and language acquisition, and about Krashen's monitor model.
We discussed, madam.
Right. So how many hypotheses are there under Krashen's monitor model?
Five.
Five, madam. Five, madam.
Right. Without looking at notes, can you briefly tell me what they are using your own words, not the bookish language, right? How do you keep that in your mind, the 5 hypotheses?
And during the silent period, they listen, repeat, and copy the words.
Mm.
In the early production, they have about 1,000 words in vocabulary and emphasize on listening and absorbing new language. But in the early production, there will be many errors. Then it comes to speech emergence. Around 3,000 words are there in vocabulary and use simple phrases and sentences. Then the intermediate fluency, around 6,000 words in vocabulary. They use more complex structures and very few mistakes, and they express their opinions also. Fluent. And in the advanced fluency, they achieve high accuracy in their sentences.
Mm. Okay, so what did she describe? Is that Krashen's hypothesis, or can you give a topic for what she described?
Five stages of learning acquisition.
Language.
Yes, second language.
Stages of second language acquisition.
Okay, yes. Stages of second language acquisition. Actually, I really appreciate this batch because you all are ready for learning. That is a difference that I noted, right? You all are ready to speak. Just telling, in your classrooms also, you don't like to have dumb students. You need interactive students, active students in the same manner. So this is adult learning. I too expect the same thing, right? Then only our sessions are fruitful. So thank you for giving a very good start. And regarding Krashen's, certain topics I gave you as self-study. Can you remember the principles, 12 principles?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. So those things I gave for you to discover. But before the end of today, remind me, I have another PowerPoint presentation, which I prepared for a previous batch. I will share that. Then you have some points, relevant points in brief, right? I think that will be useful because I don't have to recall Krashen's 5 hypotheses once again, but we'll take some questions and discuss them, cover up those, right? Right. What did we do last time? We started a practical work.
Types of planning.
Yes.
Yes?
No, madam, we had some groups to discuss the methods.
Could you please repeat what you said?
We were divided into several groups and you asked us to prepare small presentations under the given topics.
Very good. Very good. Okay. So are you ready for that?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. So then we had groups from A, starting from A. Am I right? Or numbers?
Alphabetical order, madam, yes, A.
Alphabetical order. Okay. So shall we take it in the alphabetical order then? Group A.
Group 1, madam, group 1 in number order, sorry.
Yeah, that is what
Yes,
I was
ma'am.
thinking.
Yes, I'm
Number
sorry.
orders, ma'am.
Number order,
Number
madam.
orders. Yeah, number 1. Number 1, I think for number 7 also I gave the same topic. Am I right?
Number 1 and number 5, madam.
Number 1 and number 5. Okay. So number 1 can start sharing the screen and you can take, the members can take, right? If necessary.
Oh, that's nice.
I'm waiting for you all to start. Then if you are not ready, shall we move to number 2?
No, madam, can we have some time, 1 minute or 2 minutes?
All right, okay.
Please, thank you. I'm really sorry, madam. We'll have some time, and let's move to the second group, madam. I'm really sorry.
Okay, then number 5 group, can you start? I think you also have the first topic.
Yes, ma'am, we can. Sadhupama? Our topic is grammar translation method. Sadhupama, will you explain what's our goal is?
All right. Okay. So yeah, in the grammar translation method, the goal is to develop students' reading ability to a level where they can read literature in the target language.
Here, ma'am, they don't consider about the, they have ignored about the oral capability. Speaking skills were not given any prominent place in the grammar translation method.
The medium of instruction was the mother tongue because L1 was used in the translation activities.
Only the reading and writing skills are focused. As mentioned earlier, oral skills are totally ignored.
Okay.
When it comes to the position of mother tongue, classes are taught in the mother tongue with little active use of the target language. That is because, as mentioned before, the mother tongue was solely used in grammar translation activities. Yeah. That is why they don't want to use the target language much in the classroom.
The techniques used are translation of a literary passage, reading comprehension questions, antonyms and synonyms, cognates, deductive application of grammar, memorization, fill in the blanks. Like these activities were used to enhance their practice skills.
Instructional materials are basically the literal text written in the target language because the pretty much the only thing they are doing in the classroom was translation, and the reading and writing skills were focused. So there were no other materials apparently used in the classroom than literally text.
How errors are treated. Having the students get the correct answer is very important, and errors are not accepted, so that the students are expected to memorize the correct answers. So it's basically teacher-centered approach, ma'am.
Okay, this is a comparison between the role of teacher and the role of the learner. So because this is teacher-centered learning, teacher act as the traditional instructor, where the learner follows the instructions of the teacher, and the teacher possesses the authority of the classroom, and the learner what did was dependent on the teacher, with no or less interaction with each other. And the teacher responsible for explaining, translating, and conducting practices and correcting mistakes also. And on the other hand, the learner did the translations and study words and rules and the memorizing activity.
Ma'am, not only we two, ma'am, there were other members of our group, but unfortunately we couldn't contact them. So finally, some amendments we do have to get together and do, but thankful for the other members also.
Right. Could you please add another slide with the names of your members, right?
It's pretty much we too, ma'am.
All right. Anyway, then add two of yours names, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And actually, you have done a very good presentation. Preparation, I can say that is great. I want others comment. Did you learn anything from them? Was it easy to follow them or difficult, clear, comprehensive?
Yes, madam, it's a brave note and it's kind of a short note. And the presentation is really done well.
Right.
They have the
So
nice
this is,
numbers.
yeah. So this is like jigsaw learning, right? What I did was I gave a format and then I put you in groups. So the lesson, part by part, like the jigsaw pieces in the puzzle, you have to fix and complete the lesson, right? Thank you very much for that group number 5. Right, now shall we move to another group?
Ma'am, shall we do?
Okay.
We are
Tell me the group number.
Group 6. Group 6.
Group 6, okay.
Group 6, ma'am. Ma'am, is it visible?
Right, wait, give me 1 minute. Don't start till I say, okay. Right. You can go ahead.
Okay, ma'am, is it visible? Sorry, ma'am, give me 1 second. Right. Ma'am, is it visible?
Yeah, Takshi, it's okay now.
Okay, ma'am, thank you. I am Takshila from Group 6. So today we are going to talk about the audiolingual method. So let's move to the first slide. First of all, I would like to talk about the introduction part of audiolingual method. So this audiolingual method is a method used for teaching foreign language where students are made to listen to the teacher speak using the target language and then repeat after the teacher in order to learn the target language. So actually this method was used to teaching for army personnel various language skills during the Second World War. And later it was developed to teach English for the foreign students in American University. So Charles Price was the person who developed this method And this method is based on the principles of behaviorist psychology. And not only that, it is based on the principle of behaviorist psychology, and it adapted many of the principles used in direct method, which had a link to behaviorism. According to behaviorist, language learning is a process of habit formation. So once the habit is formed, the learners are able to respond, and they are reproduced at any given time. So language learning habits can also occur when the learners are reinforced with language structures and when their good work is rewarded. And here, especially, the mother tongue is not used inside the class, as the focus is on the target language. And this method is also known, as I told you, it's a new key or army method originated during the Second World War. So it is like army specialized training program. Let's move to the next slide about introduction. Next one, this method is based on behaviorism, as I told you. So automatic habit formation is there. So it is coming under drill and pattern practices. And main objective of the audiolingual method is to help learners to acquire accurate pronunciation. So behaviorist focuses on words, but the audiolingual method focuses on structure. So this is the introduction under audiolingual method. Let's move to the next slide. Next slide is about characteristics. So I would like to invite Sandhya ma'am to describe about characteristics of audiolingual method.
Yes, my dear Takshi, thank you very much, and you did it nicely. And if we discuss more about the characteristics of audiolingual method, actually it is based on principles of habit formation through repetition and drills. That means they are also ear training in order to develop speaking proficiency, focus on listening and speaking skills. There is a dependence on mimicry, imitation and memorization of set of phrases and overlearning. Also, structures are sequenced by means of constructive analysis and taught one at a time. Structural patterns are taught using repetitive drills. All the time repetitions are there, and focus on listening and speaking skills. And there is a little or no grammatical explanation. Grammar is taught by inductive analogy rather than deductive explanation. Vocabulary is strictly limited and learned in context. So memorization of set of phrases, I told it earlier. No clear grammatical explanations are given here. There is a teacher when teach this method. There is much use of tapes, language labs, and visual aids. Great importance is attached to pronunciation. Also here again, very little use of the mother tongue by teachers is permitted. Successful responses are immediately reinforced. There is a great effort to get students to produce error-free utterances. As well as there is a tendency to manipulate language and disregard content. Also, reinforcements play an important role. Use of language laboratories helpful in this method. Then it is clear to you now, according to this slide. And then after the
can I disturb you for a minute?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, in this slide, you have mentioned focus is on listening and speaking skills.
Yeah, madam.
Does that mean they neglected the other two skills?
No, madam. The prominent place is given to this. Yeah. Not like in direct method. Mother tongue.
No, I'm asking about skills.
without basic place is given to listening and speaking. That means speaking ability without getting much attention to the grammatical errors. The speaking skill is given a prominent place here, ma'am.
Okay, go ahead.
And Takshi, what about the next slide then? Who is going to present that?
Okay, ma'am. Wait. Next slide is about merits of audiolingual method. So I would like to invite
Yes, Takshi,
Tiknath
thank
ma'am.
Thank you very much, Takshi. Good morning, all of you. So today I will be discussing about the merits of audiolingual method. So when we focus on this method, so it gives importance to listening and speaking. But in this method, all the 4 skills such as listening, speaking, reading, writing are focused, but more focus
Yeah,
is
that
given.
is why I asked that question. Thank you. Okay.
But more focus is given to the listening skills. And then reinforcements are used appropriately. So the learners will be engaging, they will be learning the language in a very good manner. And then here, pronunciation and structure of the language are given a prominent role here. And next one, here, no use of mother tongue, only the target language is used in audio-lingual method. So through different techniques like memorization and pattern drills and everything, learners could hear and they can repeat. So their speaking skill also will improve. They can first listen and then they can repeat that. So it is grounded on a solid theory of learning. That means the behaviorist theory. So we can use this audiolingual method in a very big classroom to a very large number of students. So it can, it gives an importance to the dialogue competency, and then it reduces the stress level of the students because they do not have to produce here first. They have to first listen and they have to focus on that listening skill first. And then shall we move to the next slide, Takshi? So even though there are some merits, there are some limitations in this audiolingual method. So equal importance is not given in this method of learning because the prominent role is given to listening and speaking. So that is one of the limitation in this method. And then here the method of teaching is teacher-centered. Rather than it is student-centered, students stay passive in this method because the teacher dominates the role in this method. And it is mechanical because we use some mechanical techniques like memorization, pattern drill. So students intend to practice and they do some drilling. So they do not have some room to creative anything. So they are most of the time passive. And then it may be boring because some hardworking learners, they will do this very well, but some other students, slow learners, they feel it may be boring for them. And here meaning is neglected in the language classroom. So only the focus is given to the structure and the pronunciation. So I think these are all about the limitation of audiolingual method. So next one is over to you, Safia.
Yes, next one is about the role of the learner. So I would like to invite Miss Safia. I think she has a problem. Excuse me, Mr. Naveen, can you do the role of the learner and also role of the teacher?
Yes, okay. Thank you, Takshi. I am Naveen Hevatan from group number 6, and I am going to tell you the role of the learner in audiolingual method. The first one, students are the imitators of the teacher's model. That means basically we talk in audio-lingual method, repetitions are done. So students are some passive and they listen to the teacher. As we told earlier, the three things are done, that is watch, listen and repeat. So basically students imitate what teacher says, what teacher utters. Teaching focuses on external manifestation of learning rather than on the internal process. Play a reactive role by responding to stimuli. That means when teacher utters or teacher tells something, students repeat them. The main thing in this audio-lingual method is repetition. So students listen to the teacher and repeat what he or she says. They are not encouraged to initiate interactions. Yes, basically there is little or no interaction, cooperation between the teacher and the students, because students just listen to the teacher and repeat. As we told earlier, in this audio-lingual method, drills and also pattern drills, something like that are taught. So students listen to the teacher and try to repeat what teacher says. They must overcome the habits of their native language. Yes, here in a audio-lingual method, students can't speak their MT, they can't use mother tongue. Always they are reinforced to use the target language. So it's not, they must overcome the habits of their native language. They can't use their native language, they try to speak with the target language, that means in English. Students play a passive role. As I told you earlier, students have less space to speak. They just repeat what teacher says. Objective is follow to teacher's direction and respond as precisely and as promptly as possible. Shall we move to next slide, Sakshi? Yes, next of the very basic one, the role of the teacher of audio-lingual method. Teacher is like an orchestra leader. Yes, do you know in orchestra, a leader give the orders and they control the music by giving correct order with a stick, and the players play their instrument according to his or her instruction. So in here, teacher always gives the instructions and other things. I like that students have to follow that what teacher says. Always students have to repeat and say what teacher says. They have very little space to use their own language. So that's there. So teacher is like an orchestra leader. So always students have to do what teacher says. They repeat what teacher says. And next one, she directs and control the language behavior of the students. Yes, always when students speak their native language, teachers stop them, and teacher is not reinforced students to use their native language. Teacher is thoroughly and very strictly pay attention to the students about only their target language. It's very prohibited to use their native language. Central and active. Yes, teacher. Other than the student, teacher is a very much active person, and it is basically audio-lingual method is teacher-centered method. So teacher is very active, but students are somewhat passive. Teacher-dominated method. Yes, as I told you earlier, this is teacher-centered method. Models the target language, controls the direction and pace of learning. Right? Monitors and corrects the learner's performance. The very basic thing is this. When in audio-lingual method, always teacher is with students and he corrects and monitor the students' target language. Do they use their mother tongue? Do they don't use their mother tongue? And when practicing drills, repetitions, teacher always look out about and observe about the students' performance. They give feedbacks, and teacher always to tell about what they have to develop. So that's only that is audio lingual method is teacher centered one. Keeps the learners attentive by varying drills and tasks. As I told you earlier, basically in this audio lingual method, drills and repetitions are done. So students are passive. The thing is, students have to be very attentive and listen to teacher, and they have to respond, and they have to repeat that what teacher says as parents. Thank you very much.
Okay.
I would like to invite Shripali ma'am. Shripali ma'am, are you there? I think she has a problem, so I will do that. So next, we are going to talk about how errors are treated. So errors should be immediately corrected, and errors are to be avoided. So it is one of the main thing of audiolingual method. And also, let's move to the next slide.
Miss Safia is there, Takshi. She also can do something. No?
Okay.
Now she is there.
Let's ask her to do the summarization part, ma'am.
Okay. Safia, can you do that? Or if it is a problem.
Let's continue.
Takshi, you can do it now then. She's not
Okay.
there.
Okay.
dear.
This is the summarization part of audiolingual method. So as we discussed, the goal of the audiolingual method is teacher wants their students to be able to use the target language, and medium of instruction is the mother tongue is not used inside the class, as the focus is on the target language, and skill focus mainly the skill focused on listening and speaking skills, and position of mother tongue, less use of mother tongue is there. Techniques, repetition, drills, memorization, replacement, restatement. Instructional material used, tape recorders and audio-visual equipment often have central roles. How errors are treated? Errors should be immediately corrected. Role of the teacher. Teacher is a central and active one, and teacher dominated. Teacher controls the language behavior. Role of the learner. The learner plays a passive role. Students are imitators of the teacher and follows teacher's direction. So those are the summary of audiolingual method. So thank you everyone, and thank you ma'am for giving us the chance for presenting our presentation.
Okay. So the audience, you can give them a comment. How do you compare the two presentations? What are the plus points? Any areas that they need to improve? Yes. Nothing.
I do really like their presentation. It is very descriptive and with lots of information. And especially I like the last slide, which carries the summarization of the total method, and it extremely well explained the major points of the method. So I think that is one of the best slide in throughout their presentation. Thank you, madam.
Thank you, Vindhya. What is your group, Vindhya?
Ma'am, we are from group number 7, CLTA.
So you showed a very good quality by giving comments about others' presentation, and actually you have observed well. And for me, what I like, what is unique in their presentation is use of appropriate images. Can you see the parrot in the first slide? You didn't catch it?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. So throughout the presentation, they have used very carefully selected images. Even the images convey meaning, right? So that's a plus point. And the second thing I like is there was a very good flow, and the whole team, all the members are well aware of the content. Maybe they have prepared parts, selected sections of their presentation, but as a team, they all know the content. So that's a good point. Like Vindhya said, I like that wrap-up part. It actually useful for the other learners. And they have started with a very good plan, like starting from the history, and it was very comprehensive. The other names used, likewise, they had the full package of information, and they nicely wrap up the whole content. Right, thank you very much. So now you can learn from each other, right? So that was my target. And now previous message, can you remember? You add another slide with the names of the team members, right?
Okay, ma'am.
Next. Who's next? We had number 5 and number 6.
Madam, we are number 2.
Sorry, number 2. Vindhya is from number 6.
We have also audio lingual method.
Okay, first presenters are from number 5.
Can we present now?
Yeah, sure.
Madam, we are group number 7. Shall we start?
Okay.
Can you all see the screen? Is it visible?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, madam, and good morning, dear friends. And our topic, just give me 1 minute. So as you all can see, our topic is communicative language teaching method, and we all are from group number 7. So as we dig into get the information, we came to know that when we are studying the background of this method, we came to know that this method has been originated with the dissatisfaction of the current the linguists of those days who were following the traditional methods, which we all know, the grammar translation method, audiolingual method. So in these methods, they were very much focusing on the grammar. But lately they understood, or they have realized that grammar rules are not the most prominent part of this language. As it is a language, the communication competencies must be developed. So as you can see that we have highlighted, this CLT method has been implemented from grammar rules to the communication rules. And Now, as you all can see, the goal of this method is to improve the communicative competence. That means they are very much focusing on speaking and listening abilities. That means they are very much concerning about the understanding and using of different kinds of language functions, such as requesting, describing, expresses likes and dislikes, and talking about their real life context. So the main goal of CLTM, Communicative Language Teaching Method, is to prepare students to be confident communicators. That is the very important part, I think, throughout this method, to make our students, to make the learners very confident in their communicative abilities and in different real life contexts. So I would like to give the next chance to my dear friend, Getmini. Yes, Miss Getmini.
Thank you, Vindya. Our next topic is the medium of instructions. As you can see the slide, as fluency and current accuracy are complementary, learners need to use the language productively and effectively. In unreal situations, the target language should be the medium of instructions, because we are teaching a language, so the learners learn the target language by interactions with the instructor and others. Fluency sometimes become more important to maintain learners' engagement in meaningful language use. So the mother tongue is eliminated from classes because as Vindya said, the goal of the CLTM is the ability to communicate in the target language. So I give the next chance to my dear friend, Hiru, I think.
Vindya, could you please share the screen? Vindya, are you there?
I'm sorry, I think my screen has just started. Just give me 2-3 minutes. Excuse me.
Sure.
Until she fixes, I have a question. Under communicative communicative language teaching approach, did you follow what they said about medium of instruction? I'm asking from the audience. According to their explanation, how did you capture that? What was the medium of instruction?
Is it target language?
This question is for the audience.
Target language, madam.
Now, under audio-lingual approach or the method, the use of students' mother tongue or the native language is forbidden, right? So they were not given a chance to use it. But remember, under communicative language teaching, it was not prohibited. We say judicious use of native language is accepted or welcomed. it was a feasible approach, right? Teacher has the freedom to use even translations if it is essential, if it is necessary. If teacher felt the students need or benefit from it, they are allowed to use it, but not throughout. Not throughout. That is why I said judicious use of native language or mother tongue. Have you solved your issue?
Yes, ma'am, I think so, but I won't be able to go to that slideshow mode. So darling, can you please continue with this slide?
Yeah, sure. Okay. Okay, so let's move into the skills that have been focused in this method. So the first, it's like listening and speaking is more focused in this method. So this approach, actually, since the goal is to prepare the learners to be confident communicators in real life context as well. And if you talk about the fluency, that was very valued than the accuracy. Hence, the accuracy of grammatical functions has not been taken under the considerations. So they have more focused on the listening and the speaking in this method. Let's see about the techniques that have been used in this method. Vatsala?
Sorry to disturb you all. I'm jumping in the middle because I'm afraid if I miss these points, right? Now you said the focus skills are listening and speaking. Does that indicate that they deviated, giving focus on reading, and writing? This question is for the team. Now, under audiolingual method, teachers are expected to postpone reading and writing, and it was limited to the dialogues that they practice, like copywriting, and what they orally practice, they wrote. So until they master speaking and listening, reading and writing were postponed under audiolingual. But under communicative language teaching, reading and writing could be started from the first day if desired. It was given, the choice is given to teacher, right? But the focus, as you said, is communication, but the other skills were not neglected. That is what I wanted to highlight. Okay, go ahead. Next person in the group can continue.
Yes, Miss Getmini, it's your turn. I think Miss Getmini is not available, or she might have a kind of a problem. So, ma'am, shall I take this turn?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, as we mentioned, the total focus is mostly on the speaking and the listening part. In this classroom, we can see mostly the pair work and the group work. That means the students are very much encouraged to do communicative activities, like as you can see in this chart. Role plays, jigsaw activities, information gap activities, and opinion sharing, information transfer activities, So throughout these all activities, they are planning, they are trying to improve the speaking ability and the listening ability of the students to make them confident speakers, confident communicators. Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Vatsala.
Yes, thank you, India. I'm talk about the instructional materials used in CLTM. There's a wide variety of materials have been used to support communicative approach to language teaching. So CLTB materials as a way of influencing the quality of classroom interaction and language use. So the primary role of materials is to promote communicative language. There are three kinds of materials used in CLT currently. So they are text-based, task-based, and really activities. So next I'm going to invite Masha, I think.
Before you move, can you please give more details on these three types of materials? Because it's a very good point. You are doing this for others to learn from your presentation, right? So can you please explain these three types, three kinds of materials?
Ms. Vatsala, can you please explain this slide, please? Madam, she asked for a few time for this. So shall we move to the next slide then?
Okay.
Ms. Umasha.
I'm going to discuss about how errors are treated in this topic. Communicator language teaching shifted the emphasis from accuracy to fluency, and mistakes were no longer seen native misspecification of learners' performance, but rather as an indispensable part of the learner's process, showing that real learning is taking place. The main purpose of language learning is the ability to use language for real communication. As errors correction still has a place in the classroom, but it would be less direct and instructive. For example, it can take place at the end of the communicative activity. Error is an indication of learners' effort in production the language. Next, I invite Hiru to discuss the role of the teacher. Thank you.
Okay, let's see the role of the teacher in this method. So teacher had to assume the role of a facilitator and a monitor rather than being a model for correct speech and writing. So here we can see the teacher is not, the teacher is acting as a facilitator actually. And also teacher had to develop a different view of learners' errors, as well as his or her own role in facilitating language and learning. And also, during the activities, she or she acts as an advisor, answering students' questions, and they are monitoring their performances as well. And he or she can act as an analyst, counselor, group process manager, as well as a kind of an independent participant also. Yeah, then we'll see about the role of the learner.
Okay, thank you, Hiru. Here I'm going to talk about the role of the learner. In this classroom, tends to be more learner-centered. So the learners are more active in these classrooms. The learners will become, and also the learners do much of speaking, becoming comfortable with listening to their peers in the group work or pair work task, rather than relying on the teacher to be a role model. So this is the very active classroom. The learners are very active. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Thank you, Group 7. One thing you skipped. Overall, it's also a good presentation. And I especially like your slide, which include techniques. That was the best slide out of all in your presentation. It gives a very clear picture of the type of activities that we use under communicative language teaching. What you skipped was text-based, task-based, and RealIA. Of course, text-based, I think I don't need to explain, it's clear with the word. But the text here under communicative language teaching is different from the previous text that they used for the other methods like grammar translation and audio lingual. Here they include a kind of grading and sequencing of language practice. And then for task-based, games, role plays, simulations, cue cards. Likewise, they use a lot of things. RealIA, authentic materials as well as models like items prepared with clay or plastic models, and advertisements, newspapers, songs. This type of authentic materials also used as learning materials. Okay, Group 2, Dirushika. Have I mistaken? Now, this is how we started. Group 1 had a technical error, then we moved to Group 5. Am I correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
And then we had the presentation of, first we started with grammar translation method, then we had audio lingual method presentation. That is group number
6.
2. Then what is this group number 2?
Ma'am, audiolingual method, we are from group number 6.
You are from group number?
Earlier we did under group number 6.
Still a confusion. Now, the first presenters are from group number 5.
Madam, you gave the same topic for 2 groups.
Yes, I know that. I'm asking topic and the group number, but you have to tell me the group number. Those are two things. Second topic, but what is your group number?
Group number is 2, madam.
Right. Then the previous group, what was their group number? Audiolingual method.
6, madam, 6.
Group number 6.
So tell me the group number, right? So number 5, number 6, and then number 7.
Yes, madam.
Present.
Number 7.
Yeah. Now number 2. Okay, go ahead.
Good morning, madam. Good morning, everyone. Today, we are going to do a presentation about audiolingual method. This is the content of our presentation. First of all, here in this presentation, I will explain what is audiolingual method and the goal of audiolingual methods. Other topics will covered by my other group members. First of all, I will explain what is audiolingual method. This is termed as ARMY method and oral method as well. It is called ARMY method because this was first used to teach English as a second language to the army person. And this is termed as oral method because listening and speaking given emphasis. And this was the first scientific method based on theory. And the audiolingual method was widely used in 1950s and 1960s. And the emphasis was not on the understanding of words, but rather on the acquisition of structures and patterns in common everyday dialogue. Then I will explain the goal of audiolingual method. Audiolingual method focuses on oral skills and it aims to improve student speaking achievements as well. And there are some other main goals of audiolingual method. They are to help learners to use some structures and patterns of language in context and to develop speaking and listening skills and to communicate in the target language properly and to make learners competent to be successful in communication. These are the goals of audiolingual method. I would like to invite my friend to continue our presentation.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Now I'm going to talk about the medium of instruction in audiolingual method. The main focus is on target language. Language forms occurs most naturally within a context. The native language should be kept apart in order to give the maximum exposure to target language. Like then in grammar translation method, they don't use the mother tongue to explain or anything. The teachers and the students are focused to use the target language. Okay, the next slide. Skills focused, mainly focus is on oral learning and they focused on aim is to enhance listening and speaking skills, and main aim is to achieve development of communication skill. Natural order of language learning is listening, speaking, writing, reading and writing. Here the main focus is on listening and speaking. Thank you. Now I invite Dinushika to continue the presentation.
Thank you, dear friend. This is the position of mother tongue in audiolingual method. Mother tongue is discouraged in the classroom. This focus on the target language. The audiolingual method advises that students should be taught a language directly without using the students' native language to explain new words or grammar in the target language. Next, I move the next slide. This is the techniques of audiolingual method. Dialogue and pattern practice from the basic of audiolingual classroom practice. The use of them is the distinctive features of audiolingual method. The techniques used by the audiolingual methods are repetition drill, finger and slot substitution drill, questions and answer drills, explanation drills, chain drill, use of audio visual aids, acting out dialogues and role plays, dialogue memorization. Next, I move to the next slide. I invite Pavi to explain it.
Thank you. Next, the instructional materials used audio recordings, like the primary component is audio materials like tapes, CDs. We used to ask learners to listen to these recordings to hear and familiarize themselves and correct their mistakes. Sorry. Then the dialogues, pre-recorded dialogues are used to model real-life conversations, which are often represent real-life situations and then engage in drills and practice exercise based on these dialogue. The main target to providing immediate corrections through audio-based materials. Although audio materials are primary focus, we can use visual aids like pictures or gestures may be used to reinforce vocabulary and facilitate comprehension. Then how the errors are treated. When the learners make mistakes in pronunciation or grammar during drills or practice exercise, the teacher or audio recordings correct them right away. The correction process in the audio lingual method is systematic and follow a structured approach to ensure learners develop the habits of language use. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to talk about the role of the teacher. When we talk about the role of the teacher in the audiolingual method, the teacher has an active role as he is the sole authority to control and direct the whole learning program. He monitors and corrects the students' performance. He also responsible for providing the students with a good model for imitation. The teacher endeavors to keep the students attentive by varying drills and tasks and choosing relevant situations to practice structures. When it comes to role of the learner, in the audiolingual method, the students play a passive role as they don't have any control over the content or the method of learning. They are not encouraged to initiate interaction. Students are mere imitators of the teacher's model. Their sole objective is to follow the teacher's direction and respond as accurately and as rapidly as possible. It means students have to answer question fast. Students should learn to respond to both verbal and non-verbal stimuli. They must overcome the habit of their native language. Students have to change the form of sentences and they have to replace and rephrase the sentences. This is the end of our presentation. Thank you all. And thank you, ma'am, for giving this opportunity to do our presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. They also, as a team, they have got ready and prepared a comprehensive presentation. And what are the things that you noted? Plus points? You also should give them comments. It is a learning activity for the benefit of you all.
Excuse me, madam. Madam, some group members left our group last night.
And I have so many outside disturbances, so I'm muting. Please continue, right? Go ahead.
Madam, I'm from group 1. Shall I do the presentation, madam?
No, I'm waiting for a comment from the audience.
Okay, right.
Madam, I think they have gathered lots of information, and I think they presented it nicely, though they have some problems within their group. The remaining members done their job nicely.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Vindhya. So, like Vindhya, why don't the others give comment? That means I can understand two things from that. Either you are not following, or you are not willing to encourage.
No, madam. Excuse me, ma'am. I'm
Yeah.
Sandhya. And our group leader, Takshi, Miss Takshi, she had done a great job, ma'am. Actually, I'd like to admire her activity. I was so busy, then I gave some notes, only notes for her, and she prepared a very nice presentation on audio-lingual method, and our group members and others also has helped. They have helped a lot to Takshi, but Takshi had done a great job. I would like to admire her activity as well as the other group members also. Just like a great lecture today, we could get many information from all your slides. Thank you very much, ma'am. And thank you very much, my dear friends.
Okay. Right. The other group who's willing. Tell me the group number.
Madam, group number 1, grammar translation.
Okay.
Madam, we have only 2 members in the group, so however we are going to manage that thing.
Never mind, because I don't mind. It's up to you to engage in the assigned work, right?
I'm really sorry. Yes, it's not an excuse. Let me pardon. Can you see all the screen?
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yes, we can see.
Before starting now, so the topic is GTM, the grammar translation method. I would give you a brief introduction for that. GTM, grammar translation method, is a foreign language teaching method, and it is very prominent. It was used in 19th and early 20th century. Of course, it was for the Latin and Greek languages, but later on, it was a classic method recognized as a GTM, grammar translation method. And here also, we use that to teach grammar rules and grammar rules in the classroom. So this is a kind of introduction. I'll move to the next slide. That is the goals of teachers using GTM. And prominently, GTM is used to teach the grammar lessons, and there the mother tongue is much used to describe them. So in this method, we hope to develop the ability to read foreign language literature, or else to teach a second language, we develop the ability on the students. And the second one is learning grammar rules. Here, we much focus to teach the rules, grammar rules, and also we teach the language vocabulary much. And also another goal is studying foreign languages good for students' mental exercise. So somehow these are the goals focused in the grammar translation method. Then I'll move to the skills. Here, mainly out of the 4 skills, reading and writing skills are focused much. Not only that, but also the vocabulary and the grammar. So that's not mean that the other listening and speaking skills are deviated. Somehow these 4 skills are emphasized and focused in the grammar translation method. Then next point is the medium instruction. Unfortunately, I don't have a slide for that. I would say this medium of instruction is much the native language, and also we teach the target language using much mother tongue, and it is focused on the teachers plan ahead, and also medium of instruction is based on the native language, and it is briefly explained. And the third part is the position of mother tongue. That means what is the role of the student's native language. Language of classroom interaction between teacher and students. There we use the mother tongue much, and mother tongue is much used. There we describe, explains the activities and the grammar rules, examples and all. And language used for understanding and translation the foreign language text, there also we use the mother tongue much, and there we don't get the students to interact with other things, and we just use the mother tongue and the target language less, then explain the activity. Then techniques. Of course, we have only 2 members in the group. My other member, Chandi, she will do the techniques. Chandi, you can share the screen. Chandi, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
I'm going to share the screen. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm unable to share the screen, and there's a message saying that while you're sharing, I can't share it.
I stopped sharing, Chandi. I stopped it.
Okay. Can you all see the screen?
Not yet. Right. Yeah. Now
I'm going to talk about the techniques of grammar translation method. And the main techniques are read and translate literary passages, and you can do comprehension corrections, like when they can read and they can understand that, then you can explain. And deductive grammar practices even you can do, like such as fill in the blanks exercises, memorization practices, and composition. Those techniques you can use and see how the children are like much engaged with the works and how they are doing the activities. So, that's my part, and over to you.
Okay. Right, Chandi, you can stop the screen sharing. The last part of the presentation, and it's my part, that is the role of the teacher and the role of the students. Chandi, will you stop sharing?
Okay, sure.
Yeah. Yes, here mainly teacher learning process, teacher plays a role there, and in this grammar translation method, teacher is a facilitator and it's a traditional instructor role. Of course, teacher instruct the students, and this is why do we call a traditional instructor? The interaction between the student and the teacher is less. Here, teacher teaches the grammar rules, and you see much mother tongue. She teaches, she delivers the grammar rules, and also she gives examples and describes the rules. And there, to elaborate the lesson, she also gives much activities. That's how the learning process is going on. So the teacher's role, briefly, it's very authoritative, and teacher dominates the classroom. She has the authority, and much student interaction is focused, and there no much interaction between the students. And also, when we move to the students' role, mainly students, they have to translate, memorize, and study the grammar rules. Their teacher delivers the grammar rules of the lesson. The students, they grab them. It's just like a spoon feeding method. Teacher gives everything, and the learners depend on the teacher. So it's less interactive, less active method. That is why I think that is called the traditional method, or else the classical method. So the teacher student interaction is less. So that is it. And I'm really sorry for being like this, madam. And this is our presentation. Madam, that is the end.
Okay, thank you very much. Though your team is limited to a very small number, you try to do your best. I invite others to give them a comment.
Madam, actually, there were only 2 members. They tried their best to do a nice presentation, and I saw a lot of images connected with each point. Then they explained well, madam.
Yes, and I invite those two to get together and check your content. Certain points I doubt whether you have mistaken, like medium of instruction and role of native language. Why do we talk about role of native language there? Because they use medium of instruction, native language as the medium of instruction. That is why you explain different functions, like they use native language to explain grammar rules. They used native language to maintain classroom rapport. Likewise, you explain, but I think personally you two had a doubt whether I'm asking the same question or not. That is how I felt, right?
Yes, of course, madam.
Sorry?
Of course. Yes, of course.
Yes. Yeah,
No,
so
no,
I'm listening to each and everybody very carefully, then I felt it. That is I wanted to tell that, right?
Yes.
Okay. Group 3 and group 4. Missing. Okay, then thank you very much for those who presented. Please forward the PowerPoint presentations after adding the name slide to me, right?
Okay.
If the others are not ready, without wasting time, I'm going to my today's work. So rather than me doing everything, I think that is a part of discovery learning or self-directed learning, collaborative learning. We can give different names. We can use the word jigsaw learning, right? Ilakshi, please mute. Right. Today, what is your expectation? Today, what do you expect me to do? There were questions regarding international schools about your annual plan or year plan. Then I ask you to send me your curriculum or whatever you use in schools, but nobody has sent me. Can you remember I made a request? Right? So I will give a general explanation like this. Now, whatever the curriculum that you implement, you have a syllabus relevant for a grade. Whatever the context that you teach, you have a particular syllabus. Am I right?
Yes, madam.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. So if we take these international schools, their term begins in September. Is that part right?
Yes, madam.
Yes,
right. Then you have a particular number of days. For terms, you use the word semester, right? So how long is your semester? Do you know that?
3 months, ma'am.
3 months, right? So 3 months means we don't have schools on each and every day. 3 months means for a month we have how many days?
Normally 30 to 31, but working days 20
yeah,
around.
School days, yeah. School days?
20?
Yeah. 20 or less than 20 because sometimes we have these public holidays or POE days, right? So 3 months means maximum it can be how many days maximum?
55 to 60 days.
60.
Right, 55 to 60 days. 55 to 60 days, but then once again, even you have in your schools different school events. Don't you utilize or don't you use school days for these special events?
Sometimes we use them, special events.
Right. So then I don't know whether you prepare the co-curricular calendar for your school. In our schools, I know that whether they prepare or not, it is a compulsory thing to prepare their school calendar, not the government school terms. What I mean by school calendar is we prepare at the beginning of the year all the functions that we are going to hold, or all the extracurricular activities, maybe perahara or exhibition, concert. Likewise, all the events we have to include with the scheduled date, right, in our school calendar. It is identical to our school. So whether you teach in a private school or an international school or government school, the procedure is same, I think. If not, you can have this practice. You can start practicing this, right? Because it's very productive. If you know the number of days that you want to deduct for these school events, then you know exactly the number of academic periods. Once again, you have to think about the time allocation for formative and summative assessments. We have monthly tests, or we have unit tests, or we have term tests, right? So for those things also we need to deduct time. Then only you get the exact number of teaching time allocation. And then you need to go for your syllabus, whether you teach in a private school, international school, or a government school, you have a syllabus. In some international curriculum, I have seen they have given prescribed texts like fiction, poetry books. I mean, for language, they have different texts, prescribed texts, plus for them the curriculum or the syllabus is a set of competencies or performance standards. Right? You can correct me or add your experience or share your experience, right? For such people, what they can do is, once again, they need to have a term break. For example, if you have 100 topics for a year or 100 competency levels for a year, then you need to subdivide it into your semesters, depending on the number, right? So the procedure is same. That is what I wanted to tell. If you correctly calculate this, you know the exact day that you are going to do a particular lesson, right? Once you prepare this annual plan, you can on the right track or not. Some people think we need with this preparation. Do not need your plan for supervision. Right? And then from annual plan, what is the next plan that you have heard? There are a variety of terms.
Term plans.
Term plans.
What is it?
Term plans, ma'am.
Term
We
plans.
can say term plans. So once you
Weekly
at
plan.
the same time, when you prepare the annual plan, you can have the breaks for the terms. So you don't need to prepare two plans like annual and term, because within the annual plan, you can include your term plan, right? I'm moving to the next plan. What is it?
Lesson plans.
Even before that, some teachers, especially in private sector schools, they prepare weekly plans, right? Weekly plans. Now guess what should be included in a weekly plan? Can you guess?
How many periods that you are going to do?
Number of periods, ma'am.
Right. Now this is weekly plan. Think about the term and then brainstorm and then give your answers. Think. Okay. Now tell me.
Topics that you are going
How
to
many
cover?
lessons?
Topics.
How many
Somebody
lessons?
say topics. Okay.
Number of the period, madam. Periods.
Number of periods.
Also, we have to explain
Teachers.
the events, madam.
Teachers task.
I cannot follow because of some outside noises. Somebody.
Madam, teachers task.
Teacher's task.
Teaching techniques and methods. Planning our activities and tasks, ma'am.
Then how does it differ from a lesson plan?
In a
Madam,
lesson
in
plan,
the
we
lesson
have
plan, we just take 1 or 2 subject points, but for the week plan, mostly we can target a certain area. there with a test and all. So within 40 minutes, we have to cover up a lesson plan. But in a week, we have more than that, and we can discuss much more.
Okay, I'll reframe my question. Why do we prepare? Why do some teachers prepare weekly plans? Have you seen anybody preparing weekly plan?
We do, ma'am.
Who's this
Sandupama.
yes, Sandupama.
Yes. Yes,
Right. Sandupama, where do you work?
I'm a teacher in Cambodia.
Good. So there you prepare weekly plans. Can you share your experience with the others? What do you include in that?
So weekly plan is very necessary because we are like obligated to do that. Like they check every week. At the beginning of the week, like on Monday, we should prepare all the plan during the whole 5 day that what we are going to do. But it's a very brief note. You don't
Very
have to
good.
like.
That is the point that I was waiting, Sandupama, right? That is I invited. So though you mentioned that teacher activities, student activity, those are things we included in our lesson plan, not in the weekly plan. Right, go ahead, Sandupama. Is there a possibility of sharing your weekly plan with us? A picture of weekly plan?
Yeah, I can, ma'am. But can you please give me some few minutes because I need to take a snap and
right,
do something like add it to a slide or something.
Right. So
yeah, so they advise us to right, like add everything that we plan to do during each day, but very brief. But they are like, we are not advised to do anything outside of that.
Everything in the sense you include everything.
You cannot be spontaneous, ma'am. You cannot be.
Sorry?
You cannot be spontaneous. It's like you cannot do whatever you want. Everything should be in the plan.
Right.
Like in the
now
document.
Another question. What is the base for your weekly plan? How do you get content for the weekly plan? What do you use?
Curriculum.
Sorry? Curriculum.
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
So it's like we don't have a teacher's guide or something. It's like we are free to design our own lessons. It's okay, and we are from time to time we have classroom observations also, and yeah, that is how.
Okay. So if somebody, I have seen this primary class teachers preparing weekly plans, haven't you? In our schools, I have seen primary class teachers preparing this weekly plan.
Yes, ma'am. Though they have the less theory, theory lessons, more practical. So there, I have seen them that they are planning the week plans.
Yeah, they write both. They have their daily lesson plans, but they prepare that brief note for the week. Right? They do that because they have that subject integrated approach in the primary. The same teacher is doing all the subjects. Now, for example, they have this art and craft work, but this art and craft work is related to something they have done in other subjects. It is some like that. So that they wanted to keep the balance between subjects. Same teacher is handling it. So they prepare the weekly plan, and from that, based on weekly plan, they prepare their daily plans.
Yes, ma'am. their subjects are interrelated. I mean, if we are, I'm an English teacher in primary, so when I'm doing transportation, even for ENB, most of the time they are doing transportation. And for Sinhala also, Gamanagamane. Likewise, the subjects are interrelated. So it's
Yeah.
very easy for us
Yes.
to prepare the specific objectives there.
Hmm. So what they do for this weekly plan is the main point is not the date, that like from 23rd July up to which date. On the top they have written it, right? And they have day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5. And then they have the subjects, horizontally the subjects. For maths, the theme and that what we call they are whatever the basic competency. Please give me 10 minutes break. You also can get the 10 minutes break, right? Sorry for the delay. I came back. Hope you all are here.
Yes, madam.
Right. We were talking about weekly plan. I'm glad that we had somebody with the real experience. So it's nothing new. If you have primary section in your schools, please go through what your primary teachers are doing. Some of them are preparing weekly plans, right? It's like a brief note which guide to prepare daily plans. We write only the most essentials. I'm not going to read the slides which give you explanation about what is a weekly plan because you can read and understand that part. We'll do some practical work. Now, why weekly planning is important, I have given in point form here. All right, Sadhupama, I will stop sharing. She's ready to share her weekly plan. Do you like to see it? Others?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, madam. Yes.
So this one is just an instance of the weekly plan. So this is ESL grade 8. And so as you can see, this is my plan because it's up to individual teacher. Like everyone is allowed to plan their work as they want.
Right.
So for my
So you have
experience,
the common outline. You have the
Yeah.
common outline. The way you interpret it is different from teacher to teacher.
Yeah. So yes, that is the brief note what we are going to do during the class.
So you have the skill.
Yeah, it's like I just added the objective, but it's not necessary. Yeah.
So
I just added.
but this is for your improvement. I'm telling this is not an objective, dear, right?
Yeah.
So grammar part is very specific, but reading
Yeah.
skills development, there what you are doing is not specific. Now,
Yeah,
if I
it's
am
not-
preparing this, I have to write what sub skills that I'm focusing on the text, whether it is a poem or authentic text. And authentic text also you have variety, you know, whether it is
Yeah.
a letter, likewise. Did you get an idea? So your lessons are not skill integrated. It shows that they are skill focused.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you for
It's
sharing.
like some teachers, like, they stick to the textbook. Some teachers, it's depending on their own experiences and techniques and all. But I chose to do some extra activities. So
Good. It's similar to our experience. Our teachers think that textbook is our syllabus, so they blindly follow the textbook. But our syllabus is something else. Okay. Thank you very much. So these are the points which tell you why weekly planning is important for teachers, right? So when you have weekly plan, you don't deviate from the overall plan because it's a part of your overall plan. And you have more time for specific planning. And imagine that in case if you are unable to prepare your lesson plan, still you have something to depend on, right? This gives you time for preparing your task sheets and other visual aids. You know what you need for the coming week. This is what I thought. If we prepare this for primary, we can vary the columns depending on the school or the contextual needs. This is what I took. We have units and pupils text and workbook. From to means the starting date and the ending date of the week. And we have for grade, since I took grade 3, we have can do and performance standards. But if you take one lesson, if it is unit 3 lesson 1, that particular lesson, looking at the activities, you can derive objectives. So those objectives and activity numbers can be mentioned. If you plan to introduce some new vocabulary, you can write here and the structure. So this guides you for your planning, comprehensive planning. You can increase or reduce the columns, right? Planning means a mental process, actually. What do you think are the characteristics of a good lesson plan?
Brief, madam.
Brief. Okay. What else?
Precise.
Time, a selected area of the subject, madam. 1 or 2 points. A selected area or else a point at one. I mean, not a whole thing. just a selected area, kind of a target thing when it comes to a tens. So one thing can be taught in
So
one
it's a
lesson.
very specific target oriented. Okay. What else?
Time allocation.
Mhm.
Ma'am, defining the aim and objective properly.
Aim and objective. You said two things. Who's this? Who said that answer?
Madam, it's me,
Okay,
Niroshana.
Yeah. Niroshana, can you explain what is the difference between aim and objective?
Oh, well, ma'am, aim is a broad, specific, broad thing, and objectives. When we come for the objectives, objective is something to be achieved within a short time.
It's like outcome and output.
Hello.
Yes. Lesson plan or lesson objectives should be smart. Rifana?
Objectives.
Objectives, yes. So objectives, when you write objectives for a lesson, a good lesson contains smart objectives. What do you mean by smart?
A clear and easy.
Specific, measurable,
achievable,
Yes.
achievable.
S means
Reliable.
specific. Yes. So your objective should be measurable. Then
And it's time bound, madam.
Yes. Yes. There may be people who hear it for the first time. So explain it a little bit slower. S means specific. M means measurable. A?
Achievable.
Okay. Then R?
Relevance.
Some say relevance and realistic. Okay. Relevant, realistic. Okay. Then T.
The time framing
specific.
bound.
Time bound, yes. So when you, if it is a lesson plan, the objective should mention, it should be planned for a specific time allocation, 30 minutes or 40 minutes or 60 minutes. Right. What are the other qualities of a good lesson? You said brief, to the target, it has specific or smart objectives.
Relevant and advanced materials and the methods in references.
Relevant. Relevant what? Now tell me, relevant materials.
Relevant materials, what we get in the classroom during the teaching learning process is going on. It must be advanced and subjective for that. The purpose of the
They'll say relevant teaching learning aids.
aids, yes.
Right? Okay. What else?
We need to have an understanding about learning outcomes under 3 domains: cognitive, affective, and psych.
Learning outcomes, if you take now, we have learning outcomes prescribed by the syllabus. So that in our lesson plans, we cannot create learning outcomes. but we can write objectives under 3 domains. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Okay. Sometimes we misuse these terms. That is, I'm clarifying these small points, right? So the learning outcomes in our lesson plans are given by the government, right? So we have an outcome-based curriculum. Outcomes are prescribed, right? So we know the ultimate end. Right. Now you got stuck because you didn't think about, you didn't visualize the term lesson plan. What do you include in a lesson plan? The things you include in a lesson plan makes it a good plan. The decisions that you take while preparing the lesson plan make it a good lesson plan. So now think, what are the decisions that you take while preparing a lesson? Or what are the things that you include in planning lessons? To save my time, I'm going, without waiting your answers, I'm moving to next, right? These are some. I have not listed down everything, but this covers a certain extent. A good lesson plan, yeah, like you all said, includes very clearly stated SMART objectives. They are not overloaded. They are very clear. Anybody can understand, right? A good lesson plan includes the general and important objectives. It should relate to suitable teaching method and its use. A good lesson plan provides all essential components of a plan. Now we are going to discuss what are the essential components. I know that part you are well aware. And what makes a good lesson plan is the inclusion of effective activities which help students to move towards the output, not the outcome, output. A good lesson plan is comprehensive. It includes all task sheets and necessary annexures. Now, in my absence, if I have prepared my lesson plan comprehensively, another substitute can use it and teach or implement the same lesson, looking at it, right? A good lesson plan includes variety of activities. What do you mean by variety of activities? This variation should cater different contexts or different aspects. Variety of activities to cater to different learner styles, or variety of activities to complete the experiential learning cycle. A variety of activities for activating prior knowledge, or variety of activities to present new input, variety of activities to practice, or variety of activities for students to apply the new language input in real life context, or variety of activities to activate students' hots and lots. What do you mean by hots and lots? I purposely give this because I wanted you to be aware of this hots and lots. This goes with taxonomy. What is the name that comes into your mind when you hear the word taxonomy?
Bloom's taxonomy.
Right. So, yeah, parallel to Bloom's taxonomy, we have hots and lots. What are hots and lots?
Low order thinking skills and higher order thinking.
Very good. Excellent answer. Yes. So depending on the grade level, even though it is a primary, we can activate high order thinking skills. How? Now just take a simple activity. What we do, circle the odd word, right? For us, it's a very simple activity, but for that grade level, it's activating their thinking skills, high order thinking skills. They have to find relationship between the words that we have given, or they have to distinguish, differentiate, compare and contrast. And then a good lesson plan direct students for active and maximum participation. Right? From teacher's point of view also, you can add some more. A good lesson plan helps a teacher to stand confident in front of his or her class. A good lesson plan helps a teacher to manage time. A good lesson plan helps a teacher to achieve the stated objectives. What do you think, your belief? Do you need to plan or not?
Yes, it's needed, madam.
Yes, madam.
Yes, even to do your lectures, I have a plan. Right? Without a plan, we cannot implement. A lesson plan is a detailed description of instructional strategies and learning activities. That means within the lesson plan, we have these two processes, learning process, teaching process. And within this, there's another one. What is it? Teaching, learning, what is the other thing? Part of these two. It is embedded with
evaluating.
Yes. So identification of learning as well as teaching objectives, activities, and tasks to be done by teacher as well as the learner. So if you cannot identify your learning and teaching objectives or appropriate or activities to match your learning targets or teaching targets, you fail in planning. And you need to know how to sequence these activities. We say known to unknown, simple to complex, and according to the learning cycle. Right? Okay. Determining evaluation process. How the learner shall be deemed to have acquired the desired chance of behavior or mastery of content or skills. How you are going to establish the behavioral change through your lesson. The importance of a lesson plan is that it enables the teacher to read ahead. So you are ready, right? So you know what issues may arise. So you can be ready for that. What are the prerequisites of lesson planning? Just tell me some. Nothing.
Competency.
Okay, for the moment, I'll take it as an answer, competency. How do you find competencies?
It's been already given in the curriculum.
Where? The answer is there. Where do you find this?
The curriculum. The given curriculum.
Curriculum means, for example, if you take grade 3, if you say curriculum, it includes all the subjects. Right?
In the team?
Yes?
The syllabus.
Syllabus. Right. Now this I'm asking, what do you need for lesson planning? In other words, prerequisites of lesson planning. What do you need?
The syllabus.
Be even before that.
Timeline.
Even before time.
Grade.
Okay, grade. Grade means you should know the target group, right? The learners.
8.
Yes.
The set of the students.
You should know the learner. Knowing learner means their age, language level, what else? Maybe sometimes we want to know whether the first language as well. What else? Knowing about learner means their interests.
Normally we implement that pre-test and post-test. So pre-test can be done and get the level of the students. Says.
May I know who's speaking?
Ayesha.
Ayesha. Where do you teach, Ayesha?
In Dharmaloka Vidyalaya, Kalaniya.
Nibitiya.
No, Kalaniya.
Kalaniya. Okay. When do you do this pre-test and post-test, Ayesha?
I'm done, madam, but for the research, I did it once.
That is the thing. I'm really happy to hear that if teachers do this pre-test and post-test, but very rarely for their academic purpose only they do this. But now this should be done at the very beginning of a term or year. Now imagine that now very recent you started a new term, right? So if you plan, you could have done a nice pre-test taking the most essential competencies prescribed for the previous term. You can prepare a diagnostic test and identify their level, right? So Takshila, thank you for all these titles: date, grade, unit, time, theme, competency level, learning objectives, LT process, summary, evaluation, annexes. Okay. I'm asking at the moment, I'm asking not about the components, what are the prerequisites? So you need to know your target group. That means you need to have a grade, and then you need to know the time duration, as you said, and the syllabus.
Materials, madam.
Yes, the materials available, the recent work done.
Yeah.
What else?
Methods, their prior knowledge.
Yes. Available resources. For example, you plan to do a listening text, but you don't have a recorder, right? So you should know, now you should know the available resources. If you plan and in the morning you go and demand a recorder, your principal won't be able to supply it, right? What else? Think and feel this, right? What do you refer or what do you use for lesson planning? Yes, you should have an understanding of teaching methods, techniques, grouping techniques, classroom management techniques, your professional skills. Your professional skills matter a lot. Right. Now moving to the lesson process. Lesson process. If we take lesson process, we have 3 stages within this lesson process. The first thing is the planning stage, right? During this planning stage, you can have a kind of self-reflection. Ask these questions from yourself. What are the objectives of my lesson? What am I going to achieve at the end? What materials and activities will I need? What type of interaction will be encouraged, or what is the group size that I'm going to use? What techniques am I going to use? How am I going to monitor my learners' progress? Okay. How do you monitor your learners' progress? Please give me examples.
Tests, madam.
Tests.
Written tests.
Asking
Question
questions in the meantime.
Test. I have received some answers. Test, questioning, activities, eliciting. What is the question I asked from you all?
How can we monitor the students? The process is fine.
How can we monitor students, but
while the lesson plan is implementing?
Did I say lesson plan implementing? No. I didn't say that.
By observing the students?
Very good. I was waiting for that answer. Right? How do you monitor their progress? You can observe. Right? Because we have 2 types of things. What are assessments? Formative and summative. For formative assessments, you can use even games, right? Group work, projects, right? Even their homework can be taken for formative assessment if you give it in a proper way. Remember, this monitoring progress is not limited to their writing tests, right? It is not limited to writing tests. You can have quizzes, debates, simulations, role plays, speeches, right? Surveys, information gap activities, all sort of these activities for formative assessments. Okay, at the implementation stage, right? Some teachers think, okay, now I have planned my lesson. Good. Now what I need to do is carry out or implement my lesson according to the plan. They are strictly following the plan. What do you think about this? Is it a must to stick to the lesson plan?
No, the teacher must be flexible according to the context and the situation.
Yes. Sometimes unexpected things happen in the class, right? Maybe due to a sudden sickness. You need to attend to that matter, and then you lose some time from your lesson. Then you need to adapt your situation to manage your classroom as well as implement your lesson. And sometimes from your students' responses, you realize, my goodness, though I have wasted my time planning this lesson, the flow of activities does not fit into this audience, right? They are not active. So what do you do in such situations? What do you do in such situation? You have planned, you have all the materials, but you feel that they are bored, the students are bored and they are not engaged. In such a moment, what do you do?
Change in the teaching style.
Others?
Do some warm-up activities.
Yes, one thing is you can do an energizer, but now this my comment. When you implement, you notice that they are reluctant to contribute, to get involved in the lesson. That means something wrong with my selection of activities. So are you going to continue lesson ignoring students' responses and behavior, or are you going to change it on the spot? What do you do?
We have to change the on the spot because we have to adjust with the student, ma'am. So
Yes,
according to
of
the
course.
habit, we can
Now,
change the
we cannot
activity.
argue that, okay, this is my plan. I have spent a lot of time to prepare this plan. For years, I have been doing. So this is my plan and nobody can change it. Likewise, you should not argue because when you assume a class, each year, it's a new set of students. Their thinking pattern is different. Their exposure is different. So that it doesn't matter whether you are an experienced teacher or not, you need to take decisions while implementing the lesson as well. To make the lesson more interactive and active, you need to take very quick decisions. And you have the freedom to change, amend, or throw out, because it's your own plan. Then what are we going to do during evaluation stage? So once you finish implementation stage, you are moving toward the evaluation stage. Sometimes this evaluation is a throughout process. I'm telling this every day. That means even before you start your lesson, you can have kind of assessment. Right? While implementing the lesson, in the middle of the lesson also you can have a kind of evaluation in order to ensure that the students have understood the concepts. Right? So during evaluation stage, we have a lot to do. We have to check what they have learned, whether the activities are successful, whether they like the material, whether the pace of the lesson was right, or is it too speedy, right? And then you should think about, after the lesson, you should think about what changes you are going to do if you are doing the same lesson in another class. That is for your personal improvement plan. Now we know the significance of lesson planning, what things we need to consider. Now I have given some acronyms. Instructional designs, what are they? Can you tell me what are they? Some I know that you. You are familiar with these terms.
First one, 3P method. Presentation, practice, production.
Right. Presentation, practice, production.
They are teaching methods, madam. First one, 3P method. Presentation, practice, and procedure. Then second one is 5P method. Then no idea about third one is
5 is that engage, expression, explanation, and extend and elaboration.
transaction, teaching, or something miss. I can't remember. Then last one, TBLT mean you have jot down something.
Anything to add for this PPP? What do you know? Yes, Fatima, as the teaching learning process, presentation, practice, production. In our ESL classrooms, we use this 3P model. We use this 3P model to plan our lessons. When our lessons focused on skills, right? What are the skills? Reading,
listening, speaking, and writing.
Right. So if we are planning integrated skills, so skill isolation lessons, we can use 3P. Right? Then 5E. What are these 5E?
Engagement,
exploration,
collaboration, explanation.
Last one is evaluation.
Okay. So what is the first one?
Engagement.
Second one?
Exploration.
Third one?
Explanation.
Sorry?
Explanation.
Now you said engagement, explanation.
Exploration, ma'am.
Exploration. Okay.
Explanation, elaboration, evaluation.
Elaboration and evaluation.
Engagement, explanation, evaluation. What is the other?
Last one, evaluation.
Evaluation. Okay. Why do you say the last one, evaluation? Give me a reason.
The thing is, we can get an idea that are we successful or not, because by evaluating, we can get the students like if you have done the work successfully, the evaluation part will be successful. The evaluation is included with the test or something like that. So all the other prior stages, we just teach it. And in the evaluation part, we just test the lesson. That's it.
Okay. And once the evaluation is done, only we can identify the strengths and weaknesses. And if necessary, we can implement the remedial actions.
Yes. What I wanted to highlight is now, though we say evaluation comes at the end, it is not so. Right? It is a throughout process. For example, teacher can give a pre-test, right, beforehand, before she starts the lesson. After presenting the new input, teacher can set children to engage in some kind of work, getting ready for something. Maybe you say practicing. Even during practicing stage, teacher can evaluate, because we can identify individual differences, or we can identify those who need more practice. So it is not an end end task, it is throughout. Then what is this WPPPW? I think I shared this. Guess, you know PPP. So then what is WW? W at the beginning and W at the end. So it's a 5-step lesson. 5-step instructional design. What is it? First W. Yes, Nuska. That is warmer. Then we have presentation, practice, production, NW. Last one. What is it?
Task-based learning teaching method, Miss. Ma'am.
Sorry?
Task-based learning teaching.
No. Thank you, Fatima Husna. You have given me the correct answer. That is wrap up. Warm up, wrap up. Right. So that is why I have used WPPPW. Then what is this TTT?
That's what I told.
Yes, what is it?
Transmission, transaction,
task-based learning teaching.
transformation. Is that, madam?
Okay. You said, I saw that the same answer in chat as well. You said transmission. What are they actually?
Teacher roles.
Teacher roles. So it doesn't match here. This TTT means teach, test, teach. That is also an instructional design. Right? So we discuss PPP, 5E, WPPW, TTT. Teach, test, teach. And then we have this TBLT.
Task-based learning teaching.
Yes, task-based learning teaching approach. Under that, we have this instructional design of pre-task, task, and post-task. Right? Is this part clear, the instructional design? So now you can plan following any of these instructional designs. Right? But personally, I think this task-based language teaching appropriates for a particular grade. What is that?
Ten and 11.
10 and 11. What about 12, 13?
The upper grades, madam, most.
Task-based, ma'am, primary.
Even in the primary, we can implement actually. But teacher cannot predict what will happen in the language classroom, right? Because it's a student-led method. So beginners, more than the beginners, I think this is good for the secondary, senior secondary. I showed this just to discuss the time frame. Presentation, practice, produce, or presentation, practice, production. How do you allocate time for these three stages? How do you allocate time? Just think.
Practically, the production period is very important, so we can allocate more time for that, madam.
No, imagine this is 40 minutes period, right? 40 minutes period. How do you divide time?
Ten minutes for presentation and 15 minutes for practice and production.
15 minutes for practice and production, 10 minutes for presentation.
10 minutes for presentation and 15 minutes for the other two, ma'am. Practice and production, and 15 for practice and 15 minutes for production.
Right. What is the reason for that?
Once they practice well only, they will be able to do the production.
Good. So does that mean that everyone who plan 3P lesson should use 10 minutes for presentation? No, it depends.
No, madam.
Right? It depends. It depends the difficulty level. It depends the skill, based on the skill. It depends on your goals. So we cannot assume, we cannot give a specific time frame. Okay, you should not exceed 10 minutes or you should not use 10 minutes for this. Likewise, depending on the target learners, also the time vary. These are just samples. 3P format is very old. So TTT is an approach, and it helps teachers to identify specific needs of learners in relation to language area that we focused, and it addresses the learner's needs and appropriacy. So, now in this slide, you can see a link. Please use this and read that what is available when you click this link. Now 5E lesson plan, it is once again inquiry based or discovery based. It led children to identify and that motivate learners to initiate. Here the teacher is not a spoon feeder, but teacher act as a facilitator, supporter, motivator,
Madam, excuse me, madam, we can still see that instructional design slide, madam. I don't know whether it's my fault or not.
Sorry, haven't I changed it?
I can see that thing, madam. Because
I also can see the instructional designs, ma'am.
Sorry, ma'am.
Sorry. Thank you for telling something now.
Ma'am, we didn't receive the last week presentation also, ma'am.
Only yesterday I forwarded it, sorry.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Now today I think they will send you. Why didn't you all tell me that you cannot see the slide? Do you know how to implement 5E lesson plan?
Yes, frequently we have done it, madam, but
No, madam. Same person wearing different dresses, right? So whatever the names that we give, the rationale behind each stage is same. Now in 5E, we have this engagement, right? Engagement, during engagement, we can say this as a lead in or warmer, or set induction, setting the scene. What is the purpose of this stage? Whatever the name given.
give an idea about
Attention of the students.
Introducing about the lesson.
There are several reasons. Listen well, right? As you all said, it may be to introduce the lesson, the title of the lesson or the content. It may be to make learners ready for the next stage, right? What else? To create interest, arouse curiosity, put learners at ease. This engagement stage we use to put learners at ease. That is why we introduce new vocabulary, the block words, right? We use fun-related games, activities. So engagement means to excite, create excitement and capture learners' attention and maintain curiosity. This stage is really important. We create learning readiness. Since we are in the 21st century, now for this engagement, we can use technology. How?
Ma'am, showing them a video.
Showing them a video or getting them to play a game, right? What else?
madam, getting other classrooms engaged in online sharing like that.
Yes. Eliciting questions. And KWL chart, what is it? KWL.
What already know? First one.
What I know, what I want to know, what I learned. Right, so we can use technology or fund-related activities, even TPR activities for the engagement stage. Then the second one is exploration. How do we do that? Exploration. Think.
Let the students to identify the concept, ma'am.
How?
Implementing an activity and they will find out the learning factor. Explore
Others?
more.
Yes?
Let them be in pair or group work.
Yes. Now, during this exploration stage, we need to put them in groups. Collaborative learning should be promoted, right? So they work as a team and they discover something depending on the task given by the teacher. Students should be put into groups and each group will be given a specific time to complete an exploration task. The most effective exploration allows for mistakes or trial and error. That means exploration stage is really free. Then explanation stage. Who's going to explain? Can somebody tell me?
Student is going to explain, ma'am.
Yes. Remember, during this stage explanation, the first chance should be given to students. Right? When they explain, we can fill the gap. After teachers, after students' explanation, their group presentation. So after their sharing experience on what they have accomplished, teacher can explain indirectly without spoon feeding. How? How? How can teacher explain with indirectly?
Ma'am, giving constructive comments.
Constructive comments. We can limit our talk by giving them directing questions. For example, we can direct a question for students, and when they listen and respond to that question, that is an explanation, right? We encourage them to think more by directing questions. So we don't need to explain word to word. They can discover even the grammar rules. Then elaborate. Here also, now, first chance should be given to the students. For example, if one group presents, we can invite other groups like what I did, what are the strengths, what are the shortcomings, the plus points. Likewise, we can get others' ideas. How did you find the answer for the most difficult one? We can invite others to speak. That is also a way of elaborating. And finally, teacher can elaborate to fill the gaps. Evaluation, as we discussed, can be done at any point of the lesson, right? We can use formal and informal modes, observations. This lexical approach is of planning lessons. I'm not going to discuss this in detail. What do you mean? Or what comes into your mind when you hear the word lexical? Lexis. Nothing. So lexis means words or chunks, right? Now, this is different from structure-based or grammar-based teaching approaches. Here we have focused on meaning, actually. We consider people learn language by capturing formulaic expressions or lexical units. So this approach does a lot in language acquisition. Capturing language chunks help them to engage in a communication in a very simple manner by reusing the chunks they heard. They learn to use language in appropriate situations. In order to implement this method correctly, we need to immerse our students in authentic materials. For example, your classroom should be print-rich environment, or they need to have quick access to technology, because they always need to hear the dialogues or songs. From them only they can capture real conversations, part of real conversations. Right, so please read this. I'm not going to describe it. What is lexical approach? I have given with examples. Coming to this point. Okay. Components. I don't need to say what are the components because I saw in the chat. Some have typed the components of a lesson plan. Now, when we take a plan, lesson plan, we can divide this lesson plan into 2 sections. What are the 2 sections? I think I have discussed this when I was doing some other subject. Basically, we can divide a lesson plan into 2 sections. That is not the expected answer, teacher's role and student's role. No. I am sure you know this. Learning and teaching process. So you mean we can break the lesson plan into learning process and teaching process? Is that what you mean? Now visualize, once again, visualize your lesson plan. What do you see? You don't have a lesson plan, or you cannot remember what you write in a lesson plan. The silence says that.
General items and the methods of activating the plan.
At the beginning, we write general information, right? And then we have the teaching learning process. So general information, under that we have this from starting from date, grade, what else? General information.
Competency level.
Before that, date, grade,
unit,
Topic.
Sorry?
Topic of the lesson.
Maybe my connection is slow. I cannot hear you properly.
Duration.
Date, unit, duration, class, time. Materials or resources, okay. Yes, the curriculum link also we write competency and competency level or whatever the language. Yes, topic. So that means you know what we write in the general information section. So anybody can do that part, and what we need to practice, and the maturity comes very slowly or gradually regarding planning, learning, teaching process. Right. When planning, learning, teaching process, somebody said we write materials. Right? Sometimes we don't have any other material than the textbook. And sometimes we use authentic materials, and sometimes we use non-authentic materials as well. Right? Right, now we are going to do some practical activities, right? Can you name some authentic reading materials?
Newspaper.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't know. I thought it's 9 to 1. Then let me wind up, right? Yes, Ishani, that is newspapers. Somebody has mentioned there's another session. Sorry, I will stop now. The 2 sections of the lesson plan, didn't I mention? The general information section and learning teaching process, or the procedure we call it, right? Well, let me wind up my session. Thank you for all
Thank
the
you, madam.
hard work done. Sorry for my delay. I didn't know that you have another session. May I wind up?
Thank you, ma'am. God bless you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.